What's happening? Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to go over finishing a car. Building these cars can be expensive. In light of a recent customer interaction that we had, I'm not going to go into details, but long story short, the customer was uneducated on what's involved in building one of these cars, and he was outraged by his bill. And what I want to do is I want to go over, this isn't about you bringing us a car. This is about what it costs for you to finish the car, not for what it costs us to finish this car. So we decided to use this car as an example. This is Sean Lewis's 63 Nova. This car came to us in a pretty similar fashion, probably missing a little bit more than what your typical car is missing when it comes to being wired and plumbed. But when it comes time to finish out a car, there's a lot of costs associated with this stuff that most people don't realize. So if you've ever built a car before and you're watching this, or if you're in this industry and you build cars and you finish cars or whatever it is, I think y'all will appreciate this. This is kind of a PSA to racers, right? To guys building their own car in their garage, to understand the cost. And this is not to scare y'all. This is not to, it's really just a warning so that you guys understand what you're getting into. So let's look at this car quick. This is a twin turbo big block. So yes, this is a pretty radical car. Don't think that it's not, but the costs that we're gonna go over are no different if it's a twin turbo big block or if it's a stock block LS, right? So when this car came to us, he wanted a Pro 600 in the car, he didn't have one. That's a big ticket item, so we're not gonna talk about that. But he didn't have coil mounts for the car, right? So there's some coil mounts, they're from Maven. That's the brand that we really like for coil mounts. They're $300. He had EGT bungs in the headers, but no EGT probes. So we had to get him EGT probes, an EGT box, and EGT bulkheads, which here's a shameless little plug for us. Billet Pro Shop makes these EGT bulkheads, and they laser engraved their logo in them. I don't know if you can see it in there. Pretty sweet though. But anyway, so needless to say, there's a larger ticket item, an EGT kit that we had to get for the customer. No big deal. We keep a lot of this stuff in stock, but this is more about not what it's going to cost if you bring it to us, but what it's going to cost if you're going to do it yourself, right? So we had to plumb and wire this car. He needed an oil cooler, so we had to get him an oil cooler. I don't know exactly how much these are. Call it $400 though. This is a Earl's Ultra Pro cooler, which is made by Setrab. These are top of the line coolers. I had to bring it back to the fab shop, have him make this. I have to take this off still, bring it down to Jake Tinsley, have him powder coat it. This is all associated with wiring and plumbing, right? So, radiator cap. This is a really baller radiator cap, but I really like these. So this is what we use. They're $100. Your normal radiator cap, $20, no big deal. So what we got is we got a whole bunch of parts laid out that are either already in this car or need to go into this car to finish off this job, to finish it up and get this car fired up and running for the customer, right? So let's just start all the way down here. So just a quick glance over. There's just a handful of parts that we had to put in this car. It's not everything that we had to put in this car, but it's a handful. So I'm gonna start off with the smallest stuff, right? So this car is brought to be wired and plumbed. If you don't have taillight sockets, I can't make these connectors. There's no option for me to buy this connector without wire hanging off of it. These things, if you've been to the parts store, they're $5 to $10 each, right? So on a Fox body, you need a whole gang of these. On a New Edge Mustang, you need a bunch of them in the front end. I think on a Fox body, I think you need 10, right? I think you need 6 in the back, 4 in the front. So, whatever. Trailer brake controller, obviously not everybody's cup of tea, but he wanted trailer brakes. These are $220. Okay. Headlight switch. So if we're gonna put a new headlight switch in this thing, it's $60 with a little pigtail on it. Again, not a big deal. Windshield wiper switch. This is a nice one from Ron Francis. It's nice. I'm not gonna put a piece of crap in there that's $10 or $25 when I can spend $50 and buy something a little bit nicer. And we'll seal up the back end of this, right? It needed a throttle position sensor, $50, right? We put a high beam switch on the floor because it's kind of era correct. You know, if you've got an old car, you know what these are. They're $30 with a little pigtail, right? And we do have the terminals for these. These are Packard 56. We can change these out, but either way, I buy these as a little kit. They're $30, maybe $28.99. Don't quote me exactly on these dollar amounts, but we're pretty dang close. You want to use, here, this is the big one, sensors, right? Cars show up and they say, we do a quote and we say, hey, the customer says, yeah, I need all these sensors. Well, all these sensors that they want, they don't necessarily have, right? So this is a 5-bar map from Holley. This is a 150 PSI pressure transducer from Rife. You start adding these up, typical car is gonna have somewhere between, if it's a turbo car, you're gonna have probably about 8 to 10 of these pressure transducers on the car. You can have a handful of temp sensors, right? So this is a high intake air temp from Rife. It's a liquid temp sensor. They're somewhere between 60 and $80. You want EGTs, right? We want EGT probes. These probes are $75 each. You need 8 of them, right? So start adding this stuff up. And you slowly realize that when you bring the car that's ready to be wired, it may not actually be ready to be wired. If you want boost control solenoids, $60 each, $120, plus you got $30 for like a nice little mount set up for motion, right? You want a shift solenoid, add another $60. You want a shoot release solenoid, add another $60. That's not even counting the push lock and plumbing and all that stuff that goes along with this, right? Something as simple as this. This is exactly what I actually have to put on this car. The side of the block is a 1/4 NPT. We need to feed the turbos off of that. This is how my own personal car is done. And we need an oil pressure transducer. This thing right here, $7, $12, $13, $6. You don't think anything of this, but this is, let's just call it $25 for just this little bit of stuff here. We've got a bunch of these all over the car, these little elbows, right? Got T's for boost control or for dome pressure, for map signal, whatever. Some reducers because the stuff that's in your intake manifold is the wrong size or a different size than what it needs to be. All these little things like this, we don't bill for 3/4 of the stuff that we wind up putting on because myself or Justin or Daniel will grab something out of the drawer and just throw it on there and forget to put it down on his list, on your bill. But when you're doing this stuff yourself and you sit down at the computer for an hour and you go, well, I need 1 of these and I need 3 of these and I need 2 of those and I need 4 of these and whatever it is, there's $150, no problem, right? So something as simple as oil pressure, there we go. That's not even counting, I gotta run 4 AN hose from here and here to each turbo, right? So it's not even counting the fittings in the hose. This car's got a 3-speed lockup from Rossler. If we were gonna use this block on this transmission, it'd be $469. That's what it costs. Here's a pressure transducer, $139. Here's a dampener canister that we use for dome pressure. So if we were gonna do dome pressure on this car, we would do these boost control solenoids. This is exactly what's in the car. These boost control solenoids, this little mount here with this little T fitting and yada yada, and it's bolted in the car. There's the dampener canister for dome pressure. There's the dome pressure sensor. Add it up, that's in the car. You wanna add flex fuel, $99 for motion, just for the mount. You add another $100 for the Continental sensor, the good Continental sensor. You're at $200 just to add flex fuel. You check it off on our to-do list for us to say, hey, wire up flex fuel, but you don't have this and I gotta plumb it. There's no way I'm not gonna buy this, put it in your car for you, and then calibrate the flex fuel sensor and make sure that that's all done, right? So sure, could we leave a little pigtail there and you could figure it out yourself after you just paid us to wire and plumb the car? Yeah, but that's not the right way to do things. We're gonna do it for you. So do we notify you if we're doing it? Absolutely. But if you're doing this stuff yourself, you already know what these costs are. This isn't me trying to sell you on any of this stuff. These are retail or guesstimate prices on this stuff.
No, we confirmed all the part numbers.
Well, most of the stuff, right? So yeah. What I'm getting at here is this stuff adds up, right? You want gear position, $240. And then we didn't wire nothing. We didn't put it in the car. We didn't bill you for any type of labor. This is all us talking about you doing this stuff yourself. You want shock travel? You want 2 of them? You're at $460, right? You want 4 of them? You're at $920. Plus, maybe you need some mounts, $30 each. Drive shaft speed, everybody needs drive shaft speed. You need the sensor holder, $20. You need the ring, $136. You need the sensor, $149. This guy's got a Pro 600, got nowhere to mount it, $140. Motion makes these, we use these quite a bit, $140 by the time you're all said and done with this. And I think this is wrong. That's okay though. I think these are like $89 for this whole setup, but that's okay. So disregard the $139.
I think we totaled them.
No, that was together. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let's call it $89. This customer wanted a VPS. Sure, we got them. $899. That's without a screen. You want a turn signal switch on the car. This car does not have this because we're using the factory turn signal switch, but they're $139. Skip this for a second. We need steering wheel buttons. This is a good one, right? You want a steering wheel button with a cord already on it because maybe you've only got one steering wheel button. They're $60. If we're building a steering wheel harness, they're $30 each. We get them in a whole bunch of different colors, but now you're adding labor and whatnot and some time. Plus we wind up using a shrink boot on the backside of this. We wind up cutting this to give it a groove, a receiver groove for the shrink boot to bite into. We're adding more costs. Here's a big one, CO2. Show up, you want boost control, you want the shifter, you want the chute release, you want all the stuff, you want air launcher chutes, you want all this stuff, but you don't even have a CO2 bottle. $120, $90 here for the mount. You got, this is our automatic shutoff valve so we can activate it from the PDM. These are sweet, not a necessity, but they're sweet. They're $180. Dual output, dual pressure output regulator, one at 150, one at 250. One for the chutes, one for everything else. They're $120. What I'm getting at here is just what we've looked at so far. It's a lot of dang money. And in my opinion, this stuff is not included with wiring the car. This is not included with plumbing the car, but it is certainly needed to finish the car, right? So if you brought me a car and you said, hey, I want all these things in the car and I want them all to work, my hope is that you should understand that if you don't already own these items, we got to put them in the car and it's going to cost money. And I'm not UNICEF. So, and you're not UNICEF, and hell, Motion ain't UNICEF. They're not, you didn't just go on their website and order the stuff and they decided that, man, it's Wednesday, we just are not going to bill you. Finishing a car, you spend all the money on the engine, you spend all the money on the transmission and the turbos and the fancy wheels and the fancy paint job and the chassis work, and all that stuff's extremely important, right? But if you don't account for this type of stuff, this is the stuff that nickel and dimes people. This is the stuff that kills them. This is how you guys lose the motivation to finish off a car. So, is there places to save money? Absolutely. If customers come to us and say, hey, I want it wired for 4-corner shock trauma sensor, but it's just not in my budget, no problem. We'll land a connector at all 4 corners. You do this yourself in 6 months or 3 months or whatever. No problem at all. It saves you however much money in parts. No big deal. The customer comes to us and says, hey, I'll do the flex fuel myself. No problem. It saves you money. Hey, can you wire it for a VPS, but I can't afford to spend the money on a VPS? No problem. We do this all the time. We wire cars for VPSs. We wire them for profilers. Even though they don't own them, I can test everything because I've got the units here, in order to test it. Not an issue. But understand that all this stuff costs money. So now we get into a couple more things, right? Skip this for now still. This right here, this is part of wiring, right? But this is what I call a hard part, right? So you need this stuff to kill the battery of the car. These are the costs on it. We have them on sale on our website right now, so you can go on our website and buy a kit and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes people want 2 of these buttons instead of this button and this button, right? Me personally, I like these buttons more. I like one inside, one on the back bumper. I don't like these buttons as much as I like these. These work fine, but I like this big red button. So now we're talking about, $350 in buttons. And if we've got an alternator on a car, we use 2 of these contactors. I made a video on explaining that stuff, but you're adding costs. So you have to understand that when you get quoted by me or anybody else, all these parts are very industry standard, right? All this stuff is real industry standard stuff. Are we regarded as being good at what we do? Sure, but there's other people out there that do a good job as well. It doesn't matter who's doing the work, whether it be you, me, or Joe Schmo down the road. These parts cost what they cost, and understand that it's going to continue to add to your bill that you're paying yourself to do, or you're paying me to do, or you're paying somebody else to do, right? So account for all this stuff. Now, let's look at some other stuff here, a little bit more expensive. Got to plumb the car, but there's no fuel pressure regulator. 300 bucks. So just looking at this, just this one little piece, okay? I can tell you this. Beautiful, nice Sean's custom alloy billet intake manifold. Really top of the line, okay? Very, very nice high-end stuff, okay? 289 bucks for this regulator. This little ORB to ORB fitting is $22. I know, I just had to order it for this car, okay? It's $22. There's one of them elbows, right? A street elbow. They're like $8. You got 140 bucks into your sensor. You got to go from 16th NPT to 4AN. That's $8, 10 bucks. This hose end from Racetronics, I think is 10 or 12 bucks in 4AN. You got a plug, that's $15, $10. Again, I'm just random rapid firing costs. Then you got a 12 ORB to 12 ORB adapter. Call that another $15. Obviously, don't quote me on this stuff. This $289 fuel pressure regulator just turned into 600 bucks, 500 bucks. Pretty easy, right? Just from this. How else are you going to do this job? This is a necessity. You can't make the engine run without a fuel pressure regulator. So this is a necessity. Is this part of plumbing? No. Connecting to this is, okay? Connecting this to this is, sure. But the purchase of this is not part of plumbing. The purchase of this is not part of this sensor, is not part of wiring. We're connecting to this. That's how you wire a car. Hey, you've already got the fuel pressure sensors, right? Is this part of plumbing? Absolutely. But there's a reason why we don't quote plumbing, because if this was a straight, this fitting might be 10 bucks. If this is a 90, it might be 20 bucks. Again, don't quote me on exact, dollar amounts here. What I'm getting at is that this stuff adds up, and it adds up quick. This car showed up. Here, we got more of them back here, right? Here's a 5-bar map. There's another one of those 90s, right? Here's little 4AN ORB plugs that we needed to put in. There's a little 6AN ORB to an 1/8 inch NPT adapter. I think that thing was like $12 or something, right? Here, 4 ORB to 4AN. They're, $8, $10, whatever it is. There we got two more 90-degree fittings, because they have to go down underneath the car. This stuff adds up. Now, something we didn't even think about when we originally started talking about this video was we've got another set of injectors under here, right? So these are FIC 850s for pump gas. I don't even know how much these are. We're a dealer for FIC. We sell FIC injectors. We use FIC injectors. I don't remember how much these are, but I think they're like $800, right? So there's $800 for the pump gas injectors, right? And then there's $2,400 for the AFIS 600 pound per hour injectors, right? So when it comes time to wire a car, when it comes time to plumb a car and to finish out a car, account for this stuff. If you've already got injectors, yeah, obviously you don't have to account for this. But you spent this money. You spent it. So building cars isn't cheap. Building a nice car is not cheap. Using higher end stuff is not cheap. And we didn't even talk about Brown & Miller and plumbing. This can be absolutely insanity for some of these fittings, okay? This fitting right here is a 12 AN to 12 ORB direct thread 90, okay? I'm pretty sure this fitting, that's the anti-seize, but I'm pretty sure that this fitting is like $89 or $79, okay? We have to use 2 of them on the back of this intake manifold to loop them across. The reason being is because it's too tight to the firewall to use an adapter and a $59 fitting from Brown & Miller, because it'll stand it off too far. So this is why we don't quote plumbing, because how are we supposed to know this stuff before the car shows up? Finishing a car is expensive. Here, you want to add a bulkhead to a car? So look, now disregard the fact that it takes us time to build, to wire to this, right? But here's a bulkhead connector for a car, okay? This is a generalization, 230 bucks. I think this is right around, I think that's right. I think that's pretty spot on. Bulkhead connector, nut plate. I gotta go get hardware out of the bin. The other side of the bulkhead connector, back shells, terminals, shrink boots, 230 bucks. Man, it's only 230 bucks to add a bulkhead connector? Sure. Plus the 8 extra hours of work it's gonna take. So, when you start using bulkhead connectors, you start adding time, which adds cost. If you're doing the work yourself, you're only talking about $230 as long as you don't value your time. If you value your time, you're talking about a lot more than 230 bucks. So what I wanted to show here was what's on this table, which is, there's more than this that had to go in this car. Okay, a lot more than this. But what's here on this table is what? With injectors, not the small injectors.
With the AFIS.
Just with the AFIS injectors, $8,250. I'll say, screw it, I'll call $1,000 of this is $1,000 of this is expected for us when we quote out parts. But without seeing the car or without having a detailed list from y'all, we can't quote this stuff. If you're building this car yourself, you're building any car yourself, keep in mind that you have to account for costs for all these parts. We don't make a fortune on parts. We sell, hell, when a car's here to be wired and plumbed, we sell the parts at our damn near our cost. Here, this is another thing, right? This Messier, they were a super nice piece, right? I think this is like $200. Then this, the fitting here, I think there's like another 30. Needed a cam sensor. I think that was $120, right? There's tons of little stuff all over the place. If you bring the car to us, we wire it, we plumb it, you get an extremely detailed bill, and it shows where absolutely everything is. If you have any questions about it, I can show you where everything is. Hell, spark plug wires. These are from Taylor. These are super, I like these wires a lot. They're like $180. This stuff adds up. When you're building a car, it's not necessarily having anything to do with this engine or those turbos or that transmission. It has everything to do with how you want the car finished out. So when you're building a car, keep in mind, this is where the $10,000 in wheels and tires or in brakes, at least you got something big and shiny to show for it. With this, you're probably gonna spend $10,000 in unexpected things that you were not planning on spending the money on. And really, I guess that's just all I got for a PSA. We deal with this a lot, and a lot of you, and like, again, I'm not complaining. A lot of the guys that we wind up working with, they already have the majority of this stuff, right? But there's times where the cars show up and they're missing, $2,000 to $3,000. That's pretty normal. Some of them show up missing $5,000 to $7,000. That's not uncommon. And some of them show up and they're missing $20,000 worth of stuff. And that's really where we had a problem with a customer recently. So I just wanted to put out this little PSA. This goes for every facet of these cars. My good friend and fab guy, Matt Smith at Performance Fab, he's working on my current car. He's working on my new car for me. And we operate a little bit different because I just tell him, whatever we need, just let me know. If I have to get it for you, I can get it for you. And I drove up there the other day and I said, hey man, how are we looking, money wise? Do you need some money or whatever? And we got $3,000-ish between titanium and carbon and all the little stuff that you don't even think about, right? It's $3,000. Well, okay. Plus it's time to build it. And plus there's time to weld the stuff and to fit the stuff. So just because a shop tells you, hey, it's going to be $25,000 to build this chassis for you, that doesn't mean that the wheel tubs are included. That doesn't mean that the carbon fiber work is included. That doesn't mean that skin in the car is included. That doesn't mean that you just drove your car into their shop and they're going to do you a 25-1 double frame rail car for $40,000. You better bring that thing stripped and gutted. I'm going to encourage Matt to make a video on the same topic here. And I encourage anybody else watching, if you do this type of work and you got a YouTube channel, y'all should also do this for your shops because I think it'll answer a lot of questions for a lot of customers. Let me know in the comments if I'm way off base. If you think that I'm crazy, let me know. When I say crazy, I mean crazy with the cost of these things and what to expect. And if you think that I'm low, let me know. I feel like we're pretty dang reasonable when it comes to labor. We sell our wiring materials at our cost. I feel like we treat our customers extremely fairly. And I didn't have to make this video, but this was more of a PSA for y'all so that y'all had a good, solid understanding of what you're getting into. So when you decide that you want to get into racing, just because you bought a car, like I just bought that S550 from J&E Chassis Works. Great car, very nice chassis. Most people that looked at that thing said, oh, this car is all done. All you got to do is just drop an engine and transmission in it. You probably heard Laura laughing because she's the one that pays the bills. Very far from it. Is it a really great start? Absolutely, right? Was the cost of that car worth what I paid for it? Absolutely, no complaints there. You start totaling up the amount of parts that were in that car when I bought it versus what I paid for it, and you almost question yourself, how the heck did they even build it from what they sold it for? Most people would look at that and go, God dang, I can't believe you spent that much money. Well, I've been in this industry for a long time, and I understand what this stuff costs. And hopefully after you watch this video, you understand what some of this stuff costs. So anyway, I'm done preaching. I'm gonna make a video on this car and show you kind of what we've done with it. So that'll be coming up sometime, whenever. See ya.